Okay, so today we're going to go over a little bit of a quiz review. So hopefully you're at home, it's Thursday night, and you are looking over this stuff in order to get ready for tomorrow's quiz so that you don't look like Scared Batman or the kid from Home Alone or this guy. Okay, we want you to be nice and confident for tomorrow's quiz. So, the quiz, it's going to have a vocab matching section, voice, diction, syntax, imagery, connotation, denotation, and inference are the words that you're going to need to match. There's going to be two voice tables where you have to make observations about diction, syntax, imagery in a text, and imagery in a text. So it'll be a lot like what we did in class today, and two CSAT responses. So you're going to need to be confident with your CSAT abilities, and they are going to look a lot like what we did in class today as well. So what do you need to know? You need to know two big concepts, which are voice and CSAT. For voice, again, you need to know those 7 terms. Well, voice is one of them. Voice, diction, imagery, syntax, inference, connotation, and denotation. And CSAT, you must know how to properly write a CSAT. You will have 2 CSAT questions like the ones you answered in class today. So make sure you are ready. Okay. A little review. Voice. The 3 things that make up voice are diction, syntax, and imagery. Diction is word choice intended to convey a certain effect. Syntax includes sentence structure, word order, and punctuation. And imagery is the words or phrases a writer uses to represent persons, objects, actions, feelings, and ideas descriptively by appealing to the senses. What should tip you off with that one is the senses. Remember the 5 senses. So all those 3 things make up voice. Okay, so be sure that you know what those 3 things are, and that they all contribute to what voice is. And voice is a writer or speaker's distinctive use of language. I didn't write that in here, but I'll say it again. It is the author's distinctive use of language. One more time. The author's distinctive use of language. Voice is the author's distinctive use of language. Okay? So make sure that you have that ready too. Connotation and denotation. Denotation is the dictionary definition of a word. All right, so if you see a word and its definition, that is the denotation of that word. Connotation is the emotional attachment to a word, and it can be positive or negative. So down here, you'll see 2 examples. Here, hate. The denotation would be something like intense dislike or disapproval for something or someone. Okay, the connotation would be negative. All right, we usually think of hate as a bad thing. Festival. Denotation, a large gathering or celebration. The connotation will be positive. Everyone likes a festival. Okay? So, you see how that works. Denotation is what you would find in the dictionary. It's the definition of that word. The connotation is how does that word feel? Is it a negative word or is it a positive word? CSAT. All right. Make sure that you're going through your notes tonight. If CSAT is something that you are still struggling with, be sure that you are studying up tonight. Okay? Remember, claim restates the question with an answer. Your setup introduces your supporting detail related to your claim. It's called the setup because it sets up the evidence. Evidence supports your setup. It's a quote from a text. You need an attributive tag and an in-text citation on either side, okay? And tie-in analyzes and explains the evidence and shows how the quote relates to the claim. All right, here's an example CSAT. If you want to read through it, pause it, read it, okay? Here's that same example CSAT broken down into the claim, setup, evidence, and tie-in so you can see how it all works together. Again, if you want to go through this stuff, pause it, look at it, write it down, study it, okay? And we will move on from here. So now we're going to review today's work. All right, so make sure that you have your extended response worksheet out next to your iPad while you're watching this so that you can follow along. Make this full screen. There we go. All right, there we go. All right, so we'll start with the first extended response. So in paragraphs 31 to 33, Eugenia Collier makes the narrator sound playful as she recalls the playing with other children. what diction, syntax, and imagery makes her sound playful. So let's start with the diction. So what I put down here for diction, is, all right, paragraph 31, giggled and zing. All right, paragraph 32, laughing wildly and senselessly. I used a phrase here instead of one word because those words work together. But you want to avoid using a full sentence. All right, we're looking at specific words or phrases. Paragraph 33, chanting madly, the children screamed with delight, joined the crazy dance. I feel like I'm missing something, right? And dashed for the, bushes. Okay? So all of that works. All of that is very good diction. All really good word choice, okay? All from different parts, okay? So next, for my syntax, I wrote this. All right. What I wrote about the sentences is that they're long, exciting sentences that describe the playful action of the kids. So they're long because they're describing all of this action that's happening. All right. So my two examples were we crouched down out of sight of the bushes, where we stifled the giggles that insisted on coming. And then the next example is the children screamed with delight, dropped their pebbles, joined the crazy dance, swarming around Miss Lottie like bees and chanting "Old Lady Witch" while she screamed and curses at us. Okay. I believe it's supposed to say cursed. But both two good examples. This one is like on the medium end, maybe not that long, but this one is definitely long. So I just said that they were all long for the most part. There are a few short ones in there in that section, but for the most part, they're pretty long descriptive sentences. Imagery. For imagery, we have this. So my two examples were, then the rest of the kids let loose with their pebbles, storming the flowers and laughing wildly and senselessly at Miss Lottie's impotent rage. It describes so well the way that the kids acted, laughing wildly and senselessly, and Miss Lottie's impotent rage. So it's describing the way the kids look, letting loose with their pebbles, storming the flower, right? So you can really get an image of the kids throwing the pebbles, and then them dancing wildly and laughing crazily. Well, not dancing, but laughing wildly and crazily. The next one down here, the children scream with delight, drop their pebbles, and join the crazy dance, swarming around Miss Lottie like bees and chanting, "Old Lady Witch." So it was the other one that I used here. Again, it's that screaming with delight, dropping their pebbles, and joining the crazy dance, and swarming around Miss Lottie like bees. So again, we're getting a really strong visual of the kids playing. So at this point, if you don't have these things or something like this, if your examples don't look like this, please be sure that you're copying that down into your own work now so that you have it for your own reference. Okay. Now down here, for my C set, how does Eugenia Collier make herself sound playful? So in Marigolds, Eugenia Collier makes herself sound playful through her use of imagery. All right, so I chose imagery because I thought it was a very strong examples up here of imagery as opposed to syntax and diction. Though they were all good, imagery was the one that I thought was the strongest, so I chose imagery. So I wrote for my claim, in Marigolds, Eugenia Collier makes herself sound playful through her use of imagery. Okay. In the story, Collier describes how the children torment Miss Lottie. Collier says the children screamed with delight, dropped their pebbles, and joined the crazy dance, swarming around Miss Lottie like bees and chanting "Old Lady Witch" while she screamed curses at us. And my tie-in, Collier gives the image of a swarm of bees to describe how the children surround Miss Lottie as they chant and insult her, allowing the reader to visualize the way they dance around her. All right, so that basically her making it sound or giving you the image of bees swarming around a nest is a lot.
Miss Hayes, please come to the main office. Miss Hayes, to the main office.
They need Miss Hayes in the main office. Okay. So where was I? Right. Swarming. So they want you to have that image of bees swarming around something in the same way that the kids were sort of crazily flying around Miss Lottie. So again, Look how I structure my claim, my setup, my evidence has both an attributive tag and an in-text citation. I will give you an in-text citation tomorrow to use for the text. Okay, so don't worry about that. And my tie-in explains why my evidence supports my claim. All right. So next, for diction, for the next section, now we're looking at how she's sounding regretful. So the diction that I picked out, paragraph 60, she says gazed, immobilized face, and sad, weary eyes. Paragraph 61, awkward and ashamed, humiliating. And 62, the phrase God knows what, or God knows what, meaning like God knows what I was thinking. And contrition, which is a really great word. For syntax, I wrote this. Oops. I'm sorry, I'm missing another example, but I'll just go with this one. So, long, slow, detailed sentences. There were many that I could have picked from here, and it looks like I just forgot one. But the one that I wrote was, the years have taken me worlds away from that time and that place, from the dust and squalor of our lives, from the bright thing that I destroyed in a blind child is striking out at God knows what. Okay, so we have a long, slow, detailed sentence there that kind of helps her to give the impression of regret. And lastly, imagery. Oops. Highlight the box. Yep. For as I gazed at the immobilized face with the sad, weary eyes, I gazed upon a kind of reality which is hidden to childhood. Great quote. And the next one, whatever verve there was left in her, whatever was of love and beauty and joy that had not been squeezed out by life, had been there in the marigolds she had so tenderly cared for. So really, with this imagery, we see her describing feelings. In this first one, she's describing Miss Lottie's face. In the second one, she's really describing the feeling associated with destroying Miss Lottie's marigolds. So of these things, now I have to choose one to write about for regret, or that make her sound regretful. So I thought for this one that her diction was very strong, and that's what stood out to me. So I chose to write about her diction. So for my claim, I said, a marigold, Eugenia Collier uses diction to make her narrator sound regretful. All right, make sure you're restating the question. Set up at the end of the story, she strongly expresses her regret for destroying Miss Lottie's marigold flowers. My evidence, in paragraph 61, the narrator says, of course, I could not express the things that I knew about Miss Lottie as I stood there awkward and ashamed. Collier, 2009, page 22. Again, I will give you an in-text citation for your quiz tomorrow. Collier chooses to use very strong words, such as awkward and ashamed, to describe the way that she feels about destroying Miss Lottie's marigolds. The narrator felt awkward because she was losing her innocence, all while being ashamed of her actions. Okay? So she says it very plainly how she feels. She's regretful of what she did because of this horrible thing she did to this woman. So she feels awkward because she's becoming a new person, and she's ashamed of what she did. So it shows that she has regret. Okay, in fact, I could add a sentence here, and I will. I'm going to say, these feelings contribute strongly to a feeling of regret. Great. That sounds better to me. Okay, so that would be a good-looking C-set for what I'm seeing tomorrow. Again, if at any point you want to copy this stuff down to your notes for reference, please pause the video and do so. This is everything you're going to need, all right? So make sure that you're studying and that you feel confident for tomorrow's quiz.